and it should. I've switched off the request to say give your permission because it's just too annoying. Zoom changed their settings, but it is now. We're now recording, so I trust that's okay with you.
Then,
wonderful. How long would you like to go for in terms of coaching, Martin?
For me, it's okay if we say, let's say, for a 45-minute session. Yep. If it takes on a little bit longer, yep. Fair enough. Yeah, but to keep it, I think, in the container that can be shared, it's probably 45 minutes is probably a good length. Yeah.
Let's do that. Let's do that. Okay, shall we play?
Let's play.
I'm curious, Martin, because you and I haven't had a conversation like this before, and I wanted just to start today by asking you what's been inspiring you recently.
That's a powerful opening question. Last week, I had one of my abundance group sessions with Chris, and also the last session of the project Kairos was with Rich. Mm-hmm. And he mentioned Steve Hardison and his manuscript, the book that's going to come out at the end of this year. Mm-hmm. So I took the liberty to write Steve a message and ask for a copy of his book. And he said, hey, you have to meet the following requirements. And so I committed to read it within 30 days and delete it.
Yeah.
And I did it. And he sent me the copy on last Wednesday. When I got into the office, I had a free day. Mm-hmm. It was my me day, my time where I just served myself. And I took the liberty to sit all day and read through the first 150 pages of his biography, basically. And I kept doing that for the days after, and was highly inspired by the depth of the book, the beingness that he provides there. And I had moments where I was really deeply moved by stories that were shared about him by his clients or that he shared in the book. So that really inspired me, that high level of commitment, the word, the way he creates life through his strength of commitment and the depth of commitment. And one chapter that really hit home was this manifesto, his document. He calls it the document, where he creates with his clients this I am statement document. And I did this earlier this year with Chris, I think it was coming out. So I wrote a statement of 25, my statement, my manifesto, and I pinned it to the wall. Mm-hmm. While in the book, Steve mentions, well, you read this to yourself every day. You proclaim it at least once, if not twice a day. And I am that, I am, yeah, and really draw it from there. So that's something that hit home with me, and I'm something that I came up as an insight. Hey, that's something to integrate in my life and to speak that out. So I recorded one as a voice recording so I can listen to it on my own, and also speak it out when I'm in my space here. And so that's a big insight that I had from this book that really inspired me. And I realized, oh, that's still edgy to speak it out. There is some edginess, and I am that, and so that was inspires me right now. Yeah,
that speaking out reminds me of what Jack Canfield talks about too, that you write down your manifesto, the things that you want to happen, and you not just write it down, but you read it out to yourself. And what you're sharing with me, Martin, tells me that commitment to yourself is really important.
Yes, it is. Yeah. Their commitment to myself and drawing it out and getting it into the world is something that's important to me. And I also sense, hey, there's the element of dimming it down and using sometimes the words that are taking out the energy by dimming it only to a convenience level. Yeah. Rather than the full up, the boldness or the bright light, the full stage bright light, all orchestra, all sounds, all pitches on. It's like, how about I stand there just with a little light? Yeah.
How do you know when to turn the light up or dim it down?
In a one-on-one setting, in a small one, I say on an intimate setting, or in a long-term relationship with a coaching client, or a relationship that has been already going on for quite some length, and there's a deep level of trust, I can go into full throttle, full energy, full light, full all in off. Yeah? That's where I can do it. And where I don't do it, it's in the visible openness. Yeah, the anonym or people that don't know me. I'm more Mr. Nice Guy than all in.
Yeah? You're smiling at what you just said. What's coming up there?
Yeah, the Mr. Nice Guy has this a friend of, or say somewhere did I read this? Nice is actually bullshit. So just being nice is the worst thing that you can say to someone. He's a nice guy in some, hey, he just wants to please. He doesn't really want to take a stand. So, and I think that's the energy that is hitting there. There's this, I don't have to be nice. While I might be respectful and amiable, let's say from an energy, what's the benefit of being nice?
For you, nice has to come with commitment.
Yes, and I think this is where nice has that. It's not like almost like a rope that hasn't have a notch to it. Yeah. If the wind comes, it's like this. And I think this is the shadow side of being nice, is being uncommitted. While the other side is having a strong commitment, having a strong agreement, having a reliability and an accountability side connected to it. And that also creates an atmosphere that can feel nice, but it has a security frame around it, while the other one has a flappy side to it.
What's the flappy side telling you? And let me interrupt there,
Yeah.
Martin, because we started this conversation with commitment. You went out and took a bold step and reached out to Steve Hodson. You know, you drew it from yourself, you drew it from some external inspiration. Perhaps it was Judy. Perhaps that was the right moment in time for you and you reached out. You made a commitment to read the book, you did that. And
I did it in 4 days, actually. I started on Wednesday, finished on Saturday. Yeah, I was surprised myself. It's 450 pages, so it's not a small book to read.
Yeah.
And I cut out probably some 10 hours within 4 days.
And Wednesdays are usually your, days for yourself, and yet, you spent 4 days reading that book, or over 4 days.
Yeah, over 4 days, and I took whole Wednesday, my day. So it falls in my day, yeah, because it was I do things on my days. I do things that it's nurturing me, and it's definitely nurtured me. But I did read 2 hours also on Thursday after my coaching sessions. On Friday, I also cut out 2 hours to do it, and I on Saturday all afternoon, I basically spent all afternoon finishing the book.
So here is Martin, super committed. There's a strong commitment to yourself, a real northern star that's guiding you. Nourishing yourself is important, seeing other perspectives. And here's this flappy bit.
Yeah, there's not so much flappy bit. So if scanning my here, I have this thread, so I don't have many loose ends right now. I don't perceive having many loose ends. So there's not much stuff that could be flapping around. And I purposefully am attentive to make sure that, yes, there's maybe some playfulness, that it doesn't have a high tension to it, but there's liberty, but it's not something that I just keep a loose end and it's a loose promise and it will haunt me at some point. And the way I realized it, just the other day, a friend of mine, was his birthday, so I had a birthday call, and he said, well, actually, I have everything. It's time that I want. And so I said, hey, I have my Wednesdays free. I keep my Wednesdays, or my intention is to keep my Wednesdays free. So give me a Wednesday in the future, and I spend a day with you. So I opened that invitation. He didn't come back yet. Hey, this is the Wednesday I want to do. But very likely, as he is a guy with commitment, highly likely that within the next few weeks, he comes back. Hey, how about this or this Wednesday? Would that be something where we could meet? And I was really thinking, hey, how about he picks a day where my Wednesday might be already booked by somebody else? What do I do? Yeah. And nonetheless, I said, hey, well, then we find another Wednesday where I commit a day of my time to meet him. He was like 3 hours or 2 hours driving distance from here. But for me, that's something, if he says, yeah, I want to meet you, we put something in the calendar and we will meet and have just as friends and have a day off. And I'd be willing to give one of my free Wednesdays or my me days and spend it with him. So I realized, hey, that's part of the nature of offering somebody a loose end. and then we can create an agreement. We can create something that has power to, yeah. There's an afterthought. He's in the current situation where he thinks about changing his role, changing his professional situation, because the setting he's in is not so happy. But I didn't want to coach him so much on the phone, but I said, hey, if you really want it, yeah, I'd be happy to have a walk with you and go in nature, just as a friend, serve you as a friend.
Yeah.
And for me, that's something where, hey, this is something I'm willing to play with my open, my day for me, and create something that fills my heart, fills my energy, and also is something that is paying towards a commitment and relationship or friendship, and create something that's joyful and playful and nourishes the friendship.
Yeah. Really deep service there, Martin. So what I'm hearing is that your loose ends aren't really loose ends, they're opportunities.
Yes, they are. Yes. Yeah. And when I made this offer, yeah, there's a little question mark in there. Let's see how he takes that. Yeah. Is he taking me on my offer? His prize is giving away a full, say he is an employee, so he has to take a vacation day. Yeah. But so there's it's not, hey, let's meet on a Saturday afternoon or whatsoever, but it's really, I give one of my reserve days, my free day, my Martin time, and I'd be willing to trade it for one of his days where he takes a day off. Yeah.
And has the meeting happened yet?
No, it's not yet. It was just 2 days ago. While another friend, he contacted me the other day and said, hey, I'll be in your area hiking around, and said, hey, how about I take one of my free Wednesdays? I moved it to a Tuesday, but that's just minutia of the way I organize my calendar. And so next week, I'm going to have a hiking day with a friend of mine coming from Berlin. He will be in the Alps, and I'm shifting my calendar so I can have a day with him and go hiking on a work day. Yeah. And that's, for me, that creates this, there's fun around it. And also, hey, wow, how fun is that? That I can be in nature, be very likely in a coaching mindset with a friend, be of friendship, be of service, be in nature, and create something wonderful of it, and be nurtured. I believe that when I come back from these days, I will be fully energized. I've got to be, yeah. Imagine right now it's autumn, and so I can see myself walking through all the colors of the rainbow in nature. How fun is that?
What beyond nourishment and nurturing does commitment give you?
Freedom. I think for me, that's part of the paradox, that by creating strong agreements that are bound with commitments, there's a lot of freedom and energy that is created from this.
So I want to come back, because this strength of yours, this commitment, really resonates loudly and strongly, deeply, not loudly, deeply. So I'm still curious about where this, if you think about you and the image I have of you as you've been describing yourself, your commitment to your friends, offering these opportunities to them, there's a cost to them as well. They need to be playing full in taking a day off from their work in order to meet in the middle. Where did this flapping come up?
I realize that some of my clients, especially the clients that have where the agreement is with the company and not so much with the individual. So there's the company that, hey, I have one company where I have 7 clients from the leadership there where the agreement is with the company, and I meet with them and coach them on one basis. I realize that sometimes when I really draw out their power of commitment, depending on how long they have been coaching with me, the younger ones, the newer ones, they don't want to grab the rope. They use a lot of language that is, let me try. And so where I really, actually, don't try with me. Just do it or don't do it, but don't try. You can play, I'm okay. When you play and you want to experiment, I'm okay, I help you play, but don't try. So, and I really realized that if that happens to me, I get almost like allergic to the words.
Right. So when you hear that, what's that feeling, that sensation you get?
That's where the flappiness is, yeah. So I'm here, grab it. Maybe I try, maybe not. I don't know. I said, do you want to make another appointment in the calendar? Let me think about it. And for me, that's this. Yeah, I don't really want to play.
You don't want to play with the clients who aren't playing full on either.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
So, and I realized, when I was speaking about it, I realized that sometimes it's like I have an agreement like this and I leave that little stuff here playing around. So it's, and I need to let deconstruct that. If I have an agreement with a client over a whole year and I say, this is what we can do, and it's your investment. I'll serve you a whole year. This is your investment. And sometimes I realize a client comes back, well, it's too expensive. I only want to afford this much. Yeah. I'm wondering whether I really leave that piece of the string loose. Yeah. Because there's one side that tells me, well, created around that my happy hour rate inside is still the integrity to the bottom line, as Chris says. Chris Joseph mentions to it. Yeah, I keep the integrity of my bottom line, but there's a question mark: do I leave a part of the agreement flapping around? How much different would it be if I come up with this agreement at the full length and drawing that one also out from my clients? Yeah. I think there's something to it. The flappy end is that's where the flappiness comes up.
Is that something you'd like to touch on today?
Yeah, let's go.
What to do with the flappy bit?
Absolutely.
Flappy end. Yeah. I want to ask you first, Martin, when those flappy ends, when you notice those flappy ends, you mentioned they're in the context of clients whose agreements aren't quite as tight as they could be. Perhaps it's because they aren't fully committed to the coaching, the agreement. It might be something else too. You talked about having an allergic reaction. I want to dive a little deeper and see what that feeling you get is when you notice those flappy ends. What do you feel?
It's a sensation around the body, around my belly. So it's a body sensation around my belly, and it feels somewhat. There is an uneasiness around it.
Mm-hmm.
So there's probably the most adequate description is feeling like, hey, something I did, that wasn't okay, and being called out, like being called out by the teacher or being called out by the parent or whatsoever. I feel that energy there.
Mm.
And I can sense it very well when my clients are in that excuse mode. I call it the excuse mode. Yeah, coming 5 minutes. There is an excuse. Hey, I've been running around this place here for 10 minutes finding a parking spot. Sorry for coming late. Yeah. And I said, oh, sorry. If you had told me, I'd opened you the entrance and you could have parked in front of the house. That's one excuse. Which for me, it's a valid one where it's part of modern life. There are some areas where excuses are still in an area where I say I can tolerate that. But if that happens 3 times in a row, it becomes for me a pattern. And then it becomes an excuse pattern on the other side as well. And I'm very allergic to these excuse patterns.
I'm just thinking about what those feelings that are coming up sound like. And some of them that are coming up are irritable, frustrated, troubled. That sense of troubled because you're carrying on, allowing the excuse mode to continue.
Yeah. It's hey, I've made a mistake. I honor my mistake or own my mistake. Boom, grounded. Let's see if the other person finds out. And then letting it drag on for longer. So, and building some other, say, white lies on top of it. Yeah. And I need to call myself out on things where, hey, I got away with it, rather than making sure that there was full integrity in play. So in full integrity in play even requires me to call something out just to make it clear that, would it be that there is something, something that happens to you more often, that you come late to an appointment? Where else does it happen to you? Yeah. Or even for myself, where do I put myself in a bit ambiguous situation where I don't play as clear, as straight, as digital to a commitment as I can.
It's important for you to play full out. That comes back to that commitment we were talking about earlier. But this is about, in part, commitment of your clients, those who are in excuse mode. Perhaps their company's been paying for them, so they're not showing up fully committed. And there's another aspect, which is because they are not showing up fully committed, there's something about you not fully playing out and doing what aligns with what's important for you.
Yeah, there's two groups I observe. Yeah, I have one of the especially the younger clients that are in young leadership roles, and I call this out and say, hey, if you want to coach with me, that's what I require of you. I require of you that the ideas that you create here, that you commit to put in action, you show me on the way how they are put into action. And very often that modifies or creates behavior that they really get into action and they reap extreme benefits and results from that. So I observe that, hey, if I guide or if I lead from that angle, I'm really more powerful leader.
Yeah.
And I've seen that happening over the course of a year already numerous times. They come with like a sent client, yeah, and then they kick into gear and they want it. And then they start really, yeah. Some take it one session and they're in. Others take 3 or 4 sessions. And then I realize that they're in. Yeah. And still I say, hey, there's still a little bit which they're not in. Yeah. So, and I realize that it's probably me that I can call them out more to really take a position, say, hey, do you really want this? Yeah, for me, it's not about the money, it's more about the time. Are you willing to put in the energy and time? If your company pays for it, it's great, but for me, it's are you committed from your energy and time perspective?
So I have a question for you, Martin. Is this about how much commitment your clients, maybe the younger ones, are showing up with? Or is this about you feeling troubled by that situation continuing?
The way everything evolves, I'm not really troubled that this continues long term. I think that's probably part of transitioning. Now, if I look back over the last 4 years, I have reinvented my business already a few times, and the type of clients I was serving 2 years ago are different than my clients now, and the new clients coming in, they're also different. And what I can definitely say is their level of engagement and commitment of the new clients coming in. I filter for higher commitment clients.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you've taken steps already, and there are still some flappy ends. So what is the real challenge for you with regards to these flappy ends that still remain, if there is one?
I think my flappy end comes in the moment I make my proposal. Like in this last session with Rich, where in PK4 I said, hey, I have this, now I've a lot of on my plate and I actually need to find other clients and so on. It's a nice quality problem to have, yeah. But there's also an element in there. Why did I get myself into that overload?
Tell me more about the overload.
Yeah, I mean, if my main client now really comes, hey, could you create 2 groups, and then I would have 16 or 18 or 20 to serve. Yeah, the way I structure the agreement, it's a group agreement plus individual coaching. My bandwidth doesn't allow to do this, so I need to find somebody else to come in. Yeah, but the way I created the agreement, it's basically Martin is going to give these individual coaching agreements. So it's not it's done deal, but there's something that's, hey, there I opened this, and there's this element in there. I'm filling my calendar with more busyness or busy work or busy clients rather than going for I could have aimed for the 100,000 euro coaching agreement client. This agreement has a potential to be 100,000 euros, but I'm going to work a lot more for this than for fishing or aiming for the higher commitment level. And I think this is where I realized, hey, I have a weak spot for busying myself or filling my calendar with a busyness schedule into it. Yeah. Even having my Wednesdays just for me, because I put them in the calendar there, otherwise they would have been absorbed.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm creating agreements that still have the tendency to flood my calendar. So, and I think this is where the flappiness is in there. I need to find it. The gates around my calendar are too flappy.
How does that align with the commitment to yourself that we spoke about earlier? This Martin that can reach out to Steve Hartison, be told you have to read my book in 30 days, delete it. You read it in 4. That commitment to yourself, the commitment to yourself where you close out Wednesdays for you. How do all of these flappy ends fit in with that self-commitment?
There is, if I look at my inner team, or say I call it that I like to play with the 4 archetypes. That's definitely the playfulness, the amateur. Yeah, the amateur guys say, hey, they want to play, and there's an element to is also, hey, if somebody asks me, yes, say yes. Yeah, explore, find out, be playful, have fun. Yeah, while the knight or they say no. Or the king says, hey, no, don't do it. It doesn't fit your rigid schedule, doesn't fit the rules. Why are you playing at that end? Yeah? But there's the playfulness from that amateur that kicks in. Yeah, and makes me, I want to explore here. I want to play this and try this and play there. And I think that's where the doors open. Yeah, the doors open at that. Somebody knocks in at that. Hey, let's go play some soccer outside. Yeah,
and the door opens wider.
And then, oh yeah, why not? And I find some way, and then so on. So it requires then later on the knight to say, hey, no way here is finished, or the king says, hey, that's a no-go decision. So that's, I think, where the inner system is maybe not off, but that's where the struggle comes from. Because I did allow myself, hey, go for playfulness, make it light, make it playful. It's an invitation to myself to be more joyful, playful, co-creative. Yeah? It comes with a cost that sometimes there's, it takes time.
Tell me these four roles, Martin: the knight, the king, the amateur.
And the fourth one is the sage or the magician. Yeah, I usually use amateur, knight, king, and the magician. And the magician is the one that is interested in long-term evolution, not so much in the now. He's very present in the now, but with the benefit of a long-term evolution. Not so much, hey, I don't care about the reward or the result. I want to see the growth.
When you think about these flappy ends, you talked about the amateur opening the door and you're going out to play football. And then before you know it, these commitments you've made are eating up the time in your diary so that you're not able to show up fully committed, fully engaged in a purposeful way for the higher value impact that you're looking for. If you think about your intuition, your gut, and the four roles that you shared, who's speaking loudest in your intuition?
It's hard to say who's speaking loudest, to be honest. There, what I observe, there is an automatism, like the system that how it usually runs, and how the system can be bypassed in some way. Yeah. And there's another voice that how do I phrase that one? If I speak with the king's voice, the king's, hey, the king is also, for me, the king is also responsible for having the treasure chest. Yeah. So having the knight goes out, does the action, and works. Yeah. He destroys, he creates, he goes for whatever the action is. The amateur is having all these playful, great ideas and wants to enjoy and play and see. But it's more for the heck of it, and drawing pictures and creating things every day would totally satisfy the amateur. But the king would say, "Hey, what's the fruit? Who's gonna fill the treasure chest?" Yeah. So I think my king has that treasure chest. So what are you bringing home? What is filling the treasure chest? And this is where my old controller's mindset from my previous role is sometimes very strong and says, hey, what's the bottom line? What's the financial result? What's the hourly rate? What's the income, and so on? So for the king's mindset, incoming revenue is good. It doesn't look so much on, did you take 5 days to do it or just 1 day to do it?
Right. Who says that?
I think my king needs an upgrade.
An upgrade, yeah. A new crown.
New crown, yeah, a crown with a dash. So he needs an upgrade in the sense, hey, let's make sure that there's significant revenue coming in from the jewels and not so much from the steel. Yeah.
Love that analogy.
Yeah. So if the knight goes out, yeah, certainly can fight and so on, but maybe it's better to really pick the battles, or pick the wise choices and go for high creativity, high creation, high leveraging from the creativity point of view. Leverage the amateur to create something powerful, and that's where you play, and then bring back the jewels rather than the heavy chests.
So the king gets an upgrade and is walking hand in hand with the amateur.
That's probably, let's call in also the wise man, the magician.
Yeah.
Because my realization is, I've been coaching around these archetypes. It's always fun to have all four. If you have all four voices on the table, it's usually the most elegant outcome.
Mm-hmm.
And I think for me, what the magician represents is the wisdom for the long run.
Right.
So the magician would always favor to plant a seed of an apple tree so that you can, in 10 years, harvest all these apples. But you have to have some food on the table short term. So you also need to seed some sunflowers or some other fruit that have benefit in the same year, and not things that only have in the future benefit. So the magician in my case said, hey, make sure that it's your zone of genius you're playing in.
Mm-hmm.
And be courageous enough, and allow the king to hire or pay or get resources on board that take care of the heavy box carrying, rather than blocking my calendar full of activities.
Yeah. So that what you're creating are the jewels.
Yes. Yeah.
More of the jewels and a good amount of the steel.
Yeah.
Let's make this real.
Yeah.
How do those four roles deal with your flappy ends?
Let's be. I have them here. So I think just to make it real for me. So what is the flappy end? So what's the shadow side of the amateur? Yeah. It's doing something for the fun of it or for the pleasure of someone else that is okay-ish in the fun.
Mm-hmm.
Like if it's for me, like going out in nature, having a day with my friends walking in the beautiful nature comes close to a 10 of a 10.
Mm-hmm.
Weather is fun and we have a good team. I come home and say that was a 10 of a 10 day. Day. If that playing fun is something only a 6 or 7 out of a 10, yeah, it's probably there that I need to look for the flappy end.
Yeah.
And say, is that something I'm just don't do because I forgot to say no? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Somebody asked me, or there was an invitation and I said no, yes to it, while it doesn't really make the hurdle of 8 out of a 10 on the fun scale.
Okay.
If I use that similar analogy, I think a similar angle, it's the knight. For me, the knight means action, going out, creating, destructing,
mm-hmm.
creating. And for me, it's interesting. It's a discipline. For me, then actually discipline is a potentially good quality, but for me, it's an indicator that I need external energy to get it done.
Yeah.
If it was intrinsic energy, I wouldn't call it discipline. I would just do it because it creates intervening. So if the knight has to draw the discipline card, it's very likely that there is a loose end. I'm doing something that I shouldn't be doing.
How do you create those Wednesdays in your diary? Is that a discipline, or is it something else?
No, actually, it's easier. You might call it discipline. It's easier than that. I put, when I started, ended September, say, okay, let's put in 2 green blocks in every week until Christmas. And one is always Wednesday morning. So I put one on Monday morning, one on Wednesday morning. And then I realized, why should I do it only Wednesday morning? I could do it all Wednesday. Yeah. I do my Monday morning and all Wednesday. And I'm a little bit flexible on where I put the Monday slot. Yeah. But the Wednesday slot, I put them all throughout until Christmas. And I'm already putting it now also into January and February. So it's in the calendar. So it's almost like, hey, it's already an appointment in there. You could call it discipline, but it's probably more practice or habit.
So what does it make?
The discipline is in giving that spot up.
Yeah.
I'm once in a while I'm allowing myself to give that slot up. If I had an assistant, she wouldn't give that slot up.
So how do you speak to the knight? What needs to be done with the knight to allow it to still be creative and take action, but to have that discipline?
Yeah, what is a yes and what is a no for the knight is probably the to clarify this in my own role description for the knight. Yeah. Hey, as a knight, look into your calendar. Yeah. If there's no spot left in that week, don't accept the appointment. Yeah. Or rearrange so that you keep that integrity of the me time, of the self recreation time.
Yeah.
And if there's no space in there, well, then there's no appointment this week. So that requires also to keep the level of the clients where it is right now and not accept anymore. So I basically said, I no more new clients for this year. I might consider taking clients in January, but now there's a no for now. In economy tickets are sold out. Yeah. So that is probably also where the king comes in. The king says, hey, is there any way that you can increase the revenue for this year? And said, not at that level. Yeah, I'm not gonna, if we mix in something, I might take a business ticket in, but it has to really be gems only. Yeah. And I think that the king has to upgrade his rules, how he leads the knight. So, where to say yes, where to say no. So say, if I already, right now I have one mentee, if there's another one coming, no for now. Offer him the slot after the current mentee has finished. Right. So selling into the future, that the way Rich mentioned that, and be very rigorous there, so that I can do that.
And is there anything the sage or magician is doing or saying or thinking?
Well, I think the magician is so if you do these wonderful Mies times, well, then think about these big gem ideas. Yeah. Play at least with €100,000 client concept, or play with what could be the next level up game for myself or also for some of my clients. So I think he would really play with the gems. Yeah. Get the gems out and see how you can play with the gems rather than the steel. And playfully be there. And there's courage. Definitely there's courage. So that heart, that playfulness can be upgraded to also be courageous. Go for the higher, go for the battle that you are avoiding to play. Go for the gem contract negotiation. Here, make sure that you really go for a creative 3-level options that you can offer, so that there is creativity and growth and long-term longevity involved.
So it sounds like the king and the magician are really leading the way here in driving your opportunities in a gem direction.
Yes, I think this is the It's that the insight is, while it seems to be here the problem on somebody opening the door. It's okay to open the door. It's these two that he's to say yes and no to the clients coming in, and he needs to make sure that the agreements that are being created and being offered are really gemful. This is my insight here.
And let's take that insight and make it practical. When it comes to this arrangement you've got in place with this company, where you're kind of offering perhaps more than you have capacity to do right now without bringing in others, how would that have changed with your new upgraded king and magician leading the way?
As the agreement is in a creation mode now.
How would it change?
That's exactly. How would it change? The change I can design in there is, get the permission to have someone else come in and serve as well as a co-creator coach, another co-trainer, co-coach for the one-on-one coachings. And from my side, restructure the way I coach with the clients there. Is, hey, I put dates in the calendar, and then you can pick one of these dates, rather than, when do we want to meet next, and put another date in the calendar. So I have all these sparkles in my calendar of these clients from that company. They're paying a good rate, but compared to my other rates, there are substantially lower. So, and if I put appointments in my calendar, it almost fills the calendar without me having time for gems. Yeah. So that agreement with that company requires me to, if we continue to do that, let's agree on a pattern when I'm with you, and make sure that I combine the coaching sessions with the people there, with the employees there, especially the ones that I require more hand-holding, to have them in the group or in a setting where I can create four coaching sessions in a day, at their side, rather than having 4 half days blocked, them coming to my place. So then I basically can keep this space to a day, rather than absorbing 4 half days in my calendar. And that gets the energy back into a concise place. That's the point. I need to create the agreement along these lines, and turn it around, rather than having, let's find dates. These are the dates I'm offering you. You can pick a slot within the day.
It sounds like you're complete, Martin. You've got that plan very clearly laid out already. How, on a scale of 1 to 10, how confident do you feel about putting that in place? 1 being not at all, 10 being very.
Give it an 8 right now, as there is still things to align, create, clarify. So for me, that's all in a very goodwill space. So it really requires having that conversation with the two leaders, or one or two, especially the senior leadership team, and they already gave me a little bit. Okay, let's go in this direction. But it will require to have another one sitting down. Hey, how exactly do we do this? So it's beneficial for you. I can commit to the capacity, and allows me to scale by getting someone else in. And I think that I need to have that negotiation.
So what would turn that 8 into an 8.5?
Having that discussion, having that agreement, and I already have a date in the calendar when this is most likely to happen. I will be there in 2 weeks from today, on site, so I can let the ball roll until that day. I could call them up and create something urgent now, but I don't really have to, because I will see them in 2 weeks anyway. And from an energy perspective, that keeps the playfulness to it.
Yeah.
I don't have to get the night out to, hey, get it here, sign now. I don't need that. I can do that playfully, and I think that's the great advantage of having that long-term client, because there's a lot of room of play for me. Yeah. And that makes it light in some way. And it's, for me, I also allow myself to have that space for experimentations.
Yeah. You've made another commitment to yourself, playing and showing up full on. How are you feeling about the flappy ends right now?
That end isn't really flappy anymore. Maybe it doesn't have tension on the rope, but I know where to tie it. Yeah. I can tie it to that next meeting. And talk about it there. And I consider it very likely that maybe not in October, but in November timeframe, the first of these leadership group sessions will be conducted. Yeah. And if it's not November and we start in January, it's also okay. So I find it highly likely that in October we agree on a start date. Yeah. And if that fits into November or January, for me, that's secondary, because once you tie the rope, then Thank you, Eric. So my insight of today is really observe also from the flappy, if there's flappy ends, and use my 4 archetypes to make sure the flappy ends have a nice knot to it. And if they don't, to find something in the calendar where I can make sure that they get a knot into the flappy. Thank you.
Thank you. Do you want to take a little break?
Yeah.
Yeah. Come back in 5 minutes, 15:15?
Yeah, we can stop the recording and then